Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Hopefully this video works for you. This is, I think, my fifth take trying to make it. I'm not going to lie, this next lesson in the next couple of videos is going to be a little bit tricky. All right, we're factoring trinomials, which look like this, where A, B, and C are all numbers. Basically, it's the answer to a question like this. So let's start by multiplying for a warm-up. So I want you to give this one a try. Okay, create your box. If you want, pause the video, try it on your own, and then check. So we have 2x minus 5, and then x plus 9. Doesn't matter where they go. All right, so what does matter, though, is that whatever's in parentheses together stays together. All right, so now inside the boxes, remember, we multiply. So basically, you're distributing this x through. X times 2x would be 2x squared. X times negative 5, negative 5x. 2x times 9 is 18x, and 9 times negative 5 is negative 45. And then when you list your answer, start with your first term here. And then instead of writing 18x minus 5x, let's just write 13x, positive, so we put a plus, minus 45. All right, so what's happening now, this chapter, I'm going to be giving you this, and you're working backwards. So all of your answers for factoring trinomials, because there's no GCF, are going to be in this form. All right, so it is a little bit tricky. I'm going to show you some tricks that'll help with it. It's important that you write down, especially the calculator steps. All right, so let's just take a look at the first example. It says factor each trinomial, and then we'll add the steps as we go. Well, there's no GCF, so I know my answer is going to be in this form. All right, now if you look, these two terms multiplied together, the 2x, the first two terms give you the first term, and the last two terms multiplied together give you the last term. All right, it's just a matter of where they go. So I can tell right away there's going to be a 2x times an x as my first two terms, but let's wait and see how that's going to play out. Now, I do want you to notice that the first term is always in the first box, and the last term, so here's your last term, is in the last box. All right, so that's going to be our first step. We're going to make a box. And we're going to put the first term and the last term in those boxes. All right, so let's go down and do that. If you need to pause at any point to catch up, that's fine. Or if you want to write, if you don't have a hard copy of this, you can copy it down on paper, or you can pick up a packet. Whatever is going to be more convenient for you. I personally like to have a paper copy because you can tell how easy it is to write on the Chromebook right now. Okay, so first term, last term in the box. 2x squared, negative 7. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first times the last term. All right, so 2 times negative 7 is going to give us negative 14x squared. All right, now if you look, first term, last term, these two middle terms add up to this middle term here. So we're trying to figure out what we would multiply that would give us this, but also add up to this middle term of 13. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can list all the factors. So it could be negative 1 times 14, negative 2 times 7, or it could be 1 times negative 14, or 2 times negative 7. You want to list all of the factors and then pick the pair that adds up to the middle term. Or if you look at it, sometimes you'll hear them say it adds up to b, this middle term. So let's write this down. List all the factors. Watch your signs. And then we're going to pick the pair that adds up to the middle term. Now, sometimes that can take a while. So there is a calculator trick that I'm also going to show you. I just learned it and I think it's great, but I figure it's good to know it this way too. Okay, let me pause for just a second. All right, sorry about that interruption. So let's take a look. So you have, let's just rewind where we were at. So we put the first term, last term, multiplied them together. All right. And we had all these different ways that you can multiply to get negative 14. So we list all those factors. Now we want to pick the pair that adds up to the middle term, including the sign. That's something you want to watch out for, and that's why I like the calculator trick I'm about to show you. So the middle term, I'm looking for what adds up to positive 13. Right here. Right? Because this would be negative 13. This would be 5. This would be negative 5. This is positive 13. Now, notice how I have that written. If you use the calculator trick, which I'm about to show you, and I'll talk a lot about it, it's a new trick I just learned, and it basically lists all these factors. So you'll see 3 different columns. You'll see the factors, and then you'll just look for the middle term in the third column. It's a lot faster, especially with the numbers that are, much larger. So anyways, once you have those, you're going to put those 2 numbers in the boxes. Doesn't matter which one, it does matter the sign. And I left the x's off, but that's what's happening. Negative 1x and 14x gives you 13x. Negative 2x and 7x gives you 5x. All right. So now let's go back up here. And we're going to put those in the 2 boxes that are still open. So I'm talking about, let me just draw a little diagram here. My goodness, it's hard to write on here. There we go. All right, so now it's just a matter of working backwards. Figure out what was multiplied in the first place. And the easiest way to do that is find the GCF of each row and column. So work backwards to see what was multiplied. To begin with. And the easiest way to do that is find the GCF of each row. All right, so if I look, what's the only thing, or what's the GCF between 2x squared and 14x? Look at the numbers first. 2. There's always going to be an x here and here. All right, so 2x, right? And the only way to get 2x squared, now it's putting a puzzle together. 2x times 1x, or just 2x times x, is going to give us 2x squared. Awesome. 2x times what gives me 14? 2 times 7, positive 7. There's your first set of parentheses. Now you can say, okay, x times what gives me negative 1x? Or 7 times what gives me negative 7? It would have to be a negative 1 there. There's your other one. And check all the boxes. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 7, 14x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. Now, if you were to write those all out, you would end up with this answer. But remember, we're working backwards. So tell me what these 2 things were to begin with. So it's x plus 7 and 2x minus 1. Now, let me show you the calculator trick. All right, so this is going to be something you definitely want to write down. Once you multiply the first and last term, you're going to go to, so the first times the last term. Whatever you get for that number, you're going to go to y equals. In y1, you're going to do that number. So in this case, negative 14 divided by x. In y2, negative 14 divided by x plus x. And then when you go to the table, by hitting second graph, you're going to see 3 columns. And what you're looking for is that middle term right here. Just like we did over here. Just like we did here. So we would be looking for 13, and you're going to see negative 1 and 14 in your table. So why don't we take a look at the calculator? All right, so I'm going to go to y equals. And again, this is instead of doing this with all the different signs, because when we do 3 times negative 48, that's going to have a lot of factors. All right, so if I go to, once we multiplied a and b, or excuse me, a and c, 2 times negative 7, we got negative 14. We listed them all. If you go to y equals negative 14 divided by x, negative 14 divided by x plus x. I know it seems weird, but you can write this down in your notes and use it each time. You multiply the first and the last, take that number, including the sign, divided by x for y1, for y2, that number divided by x plus x, and then we'll go to second graph to look at the table. And these are all the different ways you can multiply to get negative 14. We're looking for the pair that adds up to 13. Find 13 in this column. Oh, right there. Negative 1 and 14. There's your 2 numbers. Same thing we got by hand. And once you have those, then you follow these steps again. So these 2 steps can be done using the calculator. And we'll practice with both. All right, I'm going to stop the video, and then I'll add, in the next video, we'll do practice with these. Make sure you're listening and watching carefully and taking down these notes in your packet. Have a great day.